Welcome to the second of 3 videos around building success from the inside. Today we're going to talk about understanding business processes. Now more than ever, our customers are telling us they need to find better ways to automate their business processes, where some of the steps may be automated and some of them may still be manual. Regardless, they need to find bigger, better ways to make them more efficient in today's world. Let's talk about that. Business processes and the data in them are interdependent. So things like product launches, product data management, customer and vendor onboarding are some examples. When it comes to automating these business processes, they must be efficient, accurate, and streamlined in order to keep up with current requirements. And when those requirements change, they must be able to quickly adapt. When you start to talk about digitizing and automating a business process, you have to look at the data and make sure that the data that goes into the process is accurate. And you can't get the data accurate into the process without automating and digitizing the current process efficiently. With traditional tools, trying to be able to accomplish the task of both business process automation and data accuracy can be challenging for an end-to-end solution. In our last video, we talked about starting with the right people. As you get into the phase of starting to talk about your processes, it's important early on to have honest and sometimes difficult conversations. Have you ever tried to make a recipe without first reading the recipe to understand the ingredients and the steps of the recipe? Maybe you think you've got the recipe memorized and you don't need a grocery list. So you go to the grocery store and gather all the ingredients only to get home to realize you forgot to buy the bananas. Or you put the whole recipe together and forgot to put the banana in the banana pudding. I may or may not be guilty of this step. If you take that same concept and start to talk about automating business processes where people just do things automatically, some key steps may be left out. That's why it's important to have workshops and talk about the details. What are the steps and why are they done? If you don't have those conversations in the beginning, you may wind up with scope creep at the end. Ah yes, the infamous scope creep. I'm sure you've seen this before, either from a technical side or from a business user side. As you get into a project, you've got it all planned out in the beginning, but then you start to realize, oh, there's some steps maybe we forgot, or now the business user is realizing some of the possibilities. And maybe they want to see some more steps automated, maybe some manual steps to make it more efficient. Regardless of the reason, scope creeps make your projects go out longer. That's why the more workshops you can have and the more discussions you can have in the beginning to really understand that process helps to reduce the amount of scope creep. I think some amount of scope creep is reasonable, especially if the users can automate some things maybe they hadn't thought about before that they're doing manually, then that certainly is worth taking a look at. As you begin collaborating on a new business process automation project, consider going through a predetermined list of questions with goals to listen and learn. Asking thought-provoking questions early in an automation project can help reveal gaps and inefficiencies and encourage creative discussions around how to transform those gaps and inefficiencies. So here's a list of possible questions to ask. Let's look at a few of them. Are all the steps in the current process necessary? If so, why? If the answer is the classic, because that's the way it's always been done, it may make sense to look at those steps first to find out why it's always been done that way and if the reasons behind the why are still aligned with current requirements. There may be some steps that can be streamlined or eliminated altogether. What are the business rules? So when you're thinking about business rules, we want to think about, are there any manual steps in the current process that could be automated using rules? For things like automatically assigning values, showing or hiding fields, or requiring data based on prior data entered. For example, when a material with a specific material type is created, Identify the fields that are always required, not required, or could automatically be populated using data-driven action rules. You could also have some validation rules. Does the data entered match the documented business process? For example, are there data quality standards for how a description is entered, like abbreviations and such? Something else that you could think about is conditional routing. Should the process be routed differently based on business rules? For example, does the count of process participants change based on things like amount or company code or even plant code? Are there tasks that have been traditionally assigned serially that could be assigned in parallel to help reduce the total process end-to-end time? This could be a potential big time saver. In other words, are there cases where individual tasks containing data not dependent on other people's tasks could be assigned to multiple individual users at the same time to help speed up the process? Do the process participants, management, and auditors have full visibility of the current as well as completed processes? Think in terms of requirements for process history, reporting, and/or dashboards. In talking through various business process automation and digitization projects with our customers, what we've observed time and again is when all participants are brought together to collaborate early on. They start to learn about how what they do affects others, how what others do affects them, and duplication of effort and inefficiencies and gaps are often exposed early on, allowing them to have creative conversations and solve those issues, hopefully reducing the amount of scope creep in their projects. This can result in a successful business process automation or digitization project, helping your organization meet its goals faster and not get left behind by your competitors. If you'd like to talk to us to learn more about what we've learned from our most successful customers, reach out to us for a conversation. We're here to help.